I have to say, looking at the stack of sources for this deep dive, it is eclectic. We've got dense papers on neurobiology, articles on attachment theory, and then right next to them, Zen Buddhism.
It looks like a mess, I know. But the mission today is to show that these are actually, 3 different languages describing the exact same mechanism.
Yeah, the same mechanism.
Yeah, they're all trying to answer why we feel safe with some people and, well, terrified with others.
So let's start there, with that human puzzle. You have the scenario in the notes that I found fascinating. 2 intelligent people, they meet the exact same stranger.
Right.
Person A feels totally safe, totally open. Person B, on the other hand, is scanning for hidden meanings, analyzing every little tone shift, just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
And usually we judge person B, don't we? We think, oh, they're just being insecure, or maybe they're sabotaging a good thing.
Right, like it's some kind of character flaw. But looking at this research, you're arguing that person B isn't actually being irrational.
Not at all. In fact, both of their brains are functioning perfectly. They're just working as survival machines.
Okay, so what's the difference then?
Well, the core insight here, the thing that connects all these sources, is that trust is not a moral choice. It's not even really a personality trait. It is a biological prediction.
A prediction?
Yes. Before you have a single conscious thought, before you decide, I like this person, your nervous system has already run this massive calculation.
And what's it calculating?
It's asking one really simple binary question. Is it safe to lower my vigilance?
Okay, but we're usually told that this feeling, this sense of safety, comes from oxytocin, the love hormone.
Oh, yes, the love hormone.
Yeah.
That is probably the biggest myth we need to clear up right away.
It's not true.
The research is pretty clear. Oxytocin isn't a love potion. What it does is it gives the brain permission to stop defending. It just modulates the threat prediction threshold.
So it's not adding affection, it's subtracting fear.
Precisely. You should think of your brain less like a poet and more like an actuary.
An actuary.
It's constantly running a Bayesian risk assessment. It uses what are called priors. All the data from your childhood, past heartbreaks, any trauma, to predict if the current moment is safe.
So if my prior data says that, people are unpredictable, my internal actuary can just reject the evidence sitting right in front of me.
Exactly. Evolution prefers a false positive over a false negative. It is much better to be lonely than to be eaten.
So when someone is, analyzing a text message for 20 minutes...
That is an emotional weakness. That is a successful risk model. It's just based on an outdated data set.
Okay, so this is where the sources take that sharp turn we mentioned at the top. We go from Bayesian risk assessment straight into Eastern philosophy. How do we get from hard neuroscience to Zen?
We get there through a concept called predictive processing.
Predictive processing.
Neuroscience now tells us that we don't passively receive the world through our eyes and ears. Our brain actually constructs a model of it. We are essentially hallucinating our conscious reality based on what we expect to see.
Which sounds uncomfortably close to that old saying, we don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are.
For centuries, that was just a lovely poetic metaphor. Now, it's a mechanical fact. 2 people experience a different reality because their brains are literally running different predictive models.
Wow. Okay, if we accept that, it completely changes how we view spiritual practices. Take meditation. It's usually sold as just stress relief.
But in this context, meditation is actually behavioral neuromodulation. When you sit in silence and nothing attacks you, you are feeding your amygdala a new data point.
You're teaching the system that stillness does not equal vulnerability.
You're manually updating your priors.
And what about the ego? We usually think of that as just vanity or arrogance.
Biologically, you can view the ego as a rigid defensive prediction structure. It's a shield. When you feel truly safe, the ego dissolves, not because you became a better person, but because the organism stopped needing the armor to survive.
Then
Faith becomes the nervous system's felt sense that existence isn't fundamentally hostile. It's a state of physiological regulation, not a doctrine you just agree with.
that is heavy. So the implication is that if reality feels cold or scary to me, I might not be describing the universe, I might just be describing my own biological calibration.
And the good news is that the brain is plastic. We can rewrite the code, but it learns from patterns. not from promises.
And that is exactly what we are going to get into in the full deep dive lecture. We've really only scratched the surface of the mechanics here.
Right. In the full lecture, we're going to walk through how things like oxytocin receptor genes and different attachment styles actually interact, and how we can use that knowledge to change those patterns.
We're going to explore how biology, psychology, and spirituality are basically three different languages describing the exact same human experience, and how to translate them to actually, change things.
How to stop just surviving your biology and start understanding it.
So head over to the full lecture for the complete breakdown. But I'll leave you with this final thought. If your brain is predicting reality based on the past, how much of your today is actually just a rerun of your yesterday? Thanks for listening.